is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new music from a brand new band called Black Swan. The name of that song was The Rock That Rolled Away. That is from the Shake the World release. And on the line right now is the singer that's gonna shake the world with this release. It is the one, the only, Mr. Robin McCauley. Robin, how are you, sir?
Good morning, Classic Metal Show, and yes, we will shake the world and shake your day. So happy Black Swan Wednesday, everybody.
Exactly. Well, Robin, gotta say, man, for a project that I had no real inkling was coming, this is a really fun, great release, man. It's, you know, people have been asking me what to compare this to, because they see all the names and they know the bands that you guys are all from, and you can't really say, well, you know, it feels like Dokken with a little bit of MSG and, you know, some Mr. Big. You can't say any of that stuff. This thing really has its own flavor. Do you agree?
Yeah, that was kind of the plan, because when Jeff called me and talked to me about Frontiers wanting to do this record with me and wanting to put me together with Reb, I thought, you know, I don't want more of the same. I really didn't want that, and I thought that's kind of what we would get. So when we got together and started to do some wood chipping and carving and all of that sort of stuff, it never at any point right from the beginning took any of the former formats. Okay. And we didn't really think too much about it, other than the fact that it was a new project, didn't have a name, of course. Jeff didn't want to play bass initially, and Reb and I sort of took him into the woodshed and beat the crap out of him so that he would play bass. And he basically wanted to sit back and do the production / engineering, of which is amazing.
Sure.
And I've told other people to date that in everything that I personally have recorded or had my name on, been fortunate enough to have my name on, I think this is my most favorite. It's the best produced record I've ever heard my voice being cut on, and I love it. It's a great project. It took shape fairly easily, and Reb is just he's off the hook, dude. He's just he's on 10. So is Jeff, and he's playing just some amazing shit. And when we brought Matt in to put the icing on the cake, it just took on a life of its own. And we will shake the world in some way or another.
No question. Well, and you know, you brought it up, but if the talent-wise is off the chain, as far as, you know, all four of you guys are really seriously talented guys. And the unique thing is, I think all four of you guys are arguably four of the most underrated guys at your individual positions, you know, within the industry. You know, there's always the big names that are named as the great guitar players, the great singers and whatnot. And you guys are always like, maybe not in the conversation, but it's because none of you guys have done any of the, you know, the stupid stuff that gets people attention.
Yeah, well, there's always that, you know. You can't do what you do and worry about it too much.
Sure.
You know, we'll just continue to do. At least I will continue to do what I know how to do best. I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed to have been able to work with your Red Beach, you know, or your Doug Aldrich, or your Jeff Pilsons, and continue to do so at whatever level. Mm-hmm. What means most to me is that I am presented with that opportunity to begin with. And, you know, here was an amazing opportunity given me by Frontiers Records. They'd wanted to do something with me before, maybe about 2 years ago. And I got crazy busy with Schenkerfest. And as you know, I do the Rock Vault here in Vegas,
Sure.
5 nights a week. So time's limited, to say the least, especially when you start considering how am I ever going to get the time to physically write lyrics, melodies, put a whole album together, and all the rest that goes with it, you know?
Sure.
that all said, you know, the timing wasn't right a couple of years ago. I was really busy with Schenker, busy here in Vegas, which I still am. But the opportunity was then presented to start writing with Reb, and nobody really knew what was going to come out of it. And when we had, you know, Jeff was laying down all of the guide bass parts, and there was no point in getting another bass player who could do it even remotely close to as well as he can do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a very unique Jeff Pilson, this is me playing bass, and it's just, you know, when you get into his production and his engineering, you're going, oh, shit, this guy's got way too much talent.
Right.
And I've known Jeff. Jeff and I have we have a really long history together. So we had that great camaraderie to begin with. You know, Red comes in, and it's just, he's screaming guitars, and he's so melodic, and yet it's got a bite, you know.
Sure.
And so we just went for it. Ironically enough, when they sent me some music and I came back into the studio and we got together, first song that we actually wrote was Big Disaster. And I remember Red laughing and him going, well, probably not the best title for a new project.
Right.
You know, and of course he was right. And then I got sick as a pig a couple of weeks ago with this stupid infection that came out of nowhere. And then everybody is thinking that it's some kind of publicity stunt. You know, here comes Big Disaster as the second single, and McCauley's down and out.
Nice.
Yeah, it wasn't planned, I can tell you. It was a vicious little bastard that just came out of nowhere, you know.
Right.
I never even heard of Sexless before. But anyway, I'm feeling great. I'm back at Rock Vault. Really excited about this record dropping on February 14th, you know.
No question.
And 2 singles deep already, and you know how singles are these days.
Mm-hmm.
But the response has been, to say the least, absolutely amazing.
Sure.
So I'm in a very happy place. It's great. I love the record. I'm very proud of this. It's terrific.
Sure.
Now, thanks for talking to me, by the way.
Oh, no problem, man. Well, Robin, you know, before we get back to Black Swan, I do want to talk about the Rock Vault a little bit. I know you do it with a very good friend of mine, John Bazaha from the Babies, and
of course,
and you know, he raves about how much fun this thing is. You know, he constantly talks of how much fun it is. I'm curious for you as well. Is it a labor of love that just happens to also be very successful? Because it seems like, you know, Paul Shortino told me the same thing, that he loves doing it as well. It really seems like it's a really fun thing for all of you guys.
Well, you know, I spoke a bit ago about, you know, when you have an opportunity to work with people like Reb Beach and Jeff Pilson and
Sure.
Matt Starr and people, and, you know, as you said, you know, maybe not top of the tree when it comes to name dropping. I don't care about that.
Right.
It's not my concern. I don't strive for that sort of stuff. Then you come to Rock Vault, which started out as a you know, some people in the very beginning, I can tell you, Chris, you know, we're going, oh, well, it's a tribute band. You know, where can this go?
Sure.
The difference being that our very first showcase was like 2 hours and 40 minutes with a short break interval. And when we got the opportunity to come into Vegas, you know, we're up there on stage with Doug Aldrich, Tracy Guns,
Right.
Howard Leese, Jay Shellen. And as the list continued, now we have Hugh McDonald in the mix. So we have Hugh and Howard together, 2 Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. You know, we had Andrew Freeman, we have Paul Shortino, Mark Bowles, John Bishaha, Johnny Solinger, Paul Johnson that comes out of the old Rock of Ages.
Sure.
Phil Suzanne on bass. Michael T. Ross on keys. We have 2 amazing girl singers with Sean Coy that's just been out with Dweezil Zappa and also
Right.
with Meatloaf. And then we have another phenomenal singer, Megan Ruger, that came from The Voice. And it's just dripping with talent. And so it's a massive project. You walk out with 8-10 people every night. It's a revolving door sometimes because of our other schedules.
Right.
And how could you not have fun? Plus, I think the key element is that, yes, while we are essentially doing cover songs, you know, other people's music, they are classic rock songs, and Rock Vault has always prided itself very much on the fact that what we do, apart from the singers, because our job as singers is basically, we're like a vehicle, basically, for the music to pass through. So, if you expect to hear Robert Plant or Paul Rodgers, you're going to get our version of it. But that's why we mix it up with singers, so that we can swap off each other, bounce off each other. But the music is almost note for note to the original recording, and that's one of the key elements. So people go, "Oh my God, it sounds just like the record." It's because it does sound like the record, and people have a blast. It's an all ages thing. We're going into our 7th year, Chris, with almost 1,500 shows under our belt. So if we did something wrong, we didn't notice.
Right. Definitely
right?
not.
And people knocked the crap out of us in the beginning.
Sure.
And we're very negative, and mostly, dare I say it, from musicians who themselves were not working, right? So there was that sort of little tinge of envy going on, going, "Oh yeah, dude, yeah, this will never work, man.
Right.
I've seen this before." Well, here we are going into year 7, and we've been voted best of in our category in Vegas for the last 6 years. First band, actually, first show that's ever actually accomplished that.
Wow.
And again, at whatever level you choose to put us into.
Sure.
We are there at that level, and we're very happy about it. And we'll continue to just do what we do. We have, it's completely 100% live.
Right.
There's a lot of shows that I cannot say the same for.
Sure.
But what you get and what you hear is just night after night. We perform 5 nights a week. Of course, it's difficult to keep that consistency, but it's a different audience every night, so it's easy to sort of keep the energy level pretty constant, because we have a different criteria, if you will, every night. We walk out, we have new faces, and it's like a brand new show every night. So, voila.
Sure. Is it for someone like you that has such a clean and diverse voice, is it hard to maintain that schedule? Because obviously, there's a lot of your contemporaries that you came up with that can't even come close to what they used to do in the heyday. You still sound pretty spot on from, the earliest MSG stuff and, all the way through.
Well, I can't speak for other people, obviously.
Sure.
And everybody, is very quick to criticize the guy who is not the guy that he used to be.
Sure.
But we age. That's just a fact of life. We age. And in the midst of that, Chris, it really depends on the individual. If you want to, I'm a real stickler. You're talking again, just bringing it up one more time about, you're not that, mine is not a name that gets dropped in a higher echelon conversation, but I take care of the fact that I love what I do. I take care of the fact that I want to continue to do it for as long as I can do it.
Sure.
And I'm stubborn. I'm Irish, and I have a fierce pride when it comes to, I don't want to come out there and lose the dignity of the whole performance.
Right.
Because I think that's nasty, and I think I personally will know. The night I walk out there and going, "Dude, you sound like shit. Goodbye. See ya."
Right.
And I don't want to walk out there, and I'm so proud. I don't want people going, "Oh my God, dude." Doesn't anybody tell them?
Right.
Right. And I don't want to be that guy. And I think it's the responsibility, may I say,
Sure,
of every singer. It's the responsibility of every singer to maintain a certain quality of live performance. I'm lucky enough to pretty much still have the pipes in good shape, and I intend to keep them that way. So as long as I can keep doing it, and people, don't hide in a corner when I walk out on stage, I guess I'm okay.
Exactly. Well, Robin, let's talk about one of the songs that really jumps out from Black Swan. They're all solid. If you're a fan of classic metal, classic hard rock, you'll love the record. But the one that really jumped out at me, And I've gone back and listened to it a bunch of times. It's more lyrical than even musical, although the music's good as well, is the song Johnny Came Marching, which really takes a lot of aim at a lot of, you like kind of meshed a lot of hot button topics of today all into one song. So talk about that a little bit, because it's a unique song to the rest of the record, I think.
Yeah, Jeff said, I'm going to send you something that Reb and I took together last night and see what you think. Okay. And I had just come back from Shankerfest European tour.
Sure.
And I think we were actually in Poland, and one of my son Casey, actually, who's a killer guitar player, and also sings backups on a couple of the tracks, actually, on the record, because he said, "Can I come to the studio with you, Dad?" And I went, "Sure you can." So he came, got his feet wet, and I went, "Yeah, you want to sing some backups?" And he's got a really, really high, powerful voice. So Jeff stuck him on a couple of tracks. But the point in case here is, while I was away, he had been to the Borderline Grill in Thousand Oaks.
Okay.
The week that I was in Poland, and that's where that terrible massacre took place.
Right.
Where 12 college kids were shot. Mm-hmm. And it freaked me out because he had been there the Thursday beforehand. Oof. And he was like about 10 minutes away from being at the venue on that particular awful, disastrous night.
Right.
And it freaked me out. And so when Jeff sent me the music, it sort of was playing heavy on me, the unfortunate Marine, the soldier that comes home from active duty, and unfortunately we see so much of it, and it was a heavy influence on me, and I went, I just have to write about it, and mm-hmm. So I used the title When Johnny Comes Marching Home, things just weren't the same as when he left, and he was in a different place and a different mind, and he was upset and very disgruntled with what he sees. So, he took action, right or wrong. And unfortunately, we do not take good care of our soldiers that come home from active duty. And when I say soldiers, they're kids.
Sure.
They're just kids, man. They're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And they're seeing
crazy stuff,
some awful shit at that stage of their lives. And they're not properly counseled, acclimated, and just back into reality, which mm-hmm. is not how it was when they left. There was a statistic some years ago in California that a lot of soldiers, I believe, that came out of Camp Pendleton, they'd come back from active duty and they'd buy these high-speed, motorcycles,
sure.
hit the freeways for a quick rush or whatever, mm-hmm. And most of the fatalities on motorcycles were soldiers that came home from active duty. Think about that one.
Oh yeah. So
anyway, that's kind of where the idea of Johnny Came Marching Home. I went, yeah, I have to write about it, and it's pretty deep in the lyrical content. A lot of moms and dads lost their kids.
Sure.
To someone who himself was lost, mm-hmm. In his own mind,
sure.
and it's a major problem. I'm not politically minded, but there you have it. That's really what influenced me on that song,
and you can't help but consider it at least, especially when you read it. I mean, that's you can't write every.
My own son was like 10 minutes away from being there. In actual fact, he does a part-time job, and he actually got called in unexpectedly. And so he turned around and went to his part-time job. And there, by the grace of God, I was blessed with still having him,
Yeah, no question.
And it could have been very different. So it weighed pretty heavily on me.
Sure. No, it sounds like it. Well, Robin, with Black Swan, it's obviously an all-star band. You guys all do have quote unquote day jobs as well with other acts. Is there going to be any opportunity to, play a few shows or some shows or take it on the road?
There's the $1 million question, and the $1 million answer is that ideally, of course, I want that answer to be yes, because while it is a project per se, and Reb is crazy with Whitesnake, and then if not that, Winger and Jeff, of course, with Foreigner. And Foreigner actually just took up a residency here in Vegas too. And Matt's schedule, I have a very crazy schedule this year with Shankar. I leave for Japan early March, and then we have Europe immediately afterwards. So I hope we can, Chris.
Okay.
I really hope that there is a break in the weather somewhere.
Right.
And that we can do a bunch of shows and get this stuff out onto the stage and have fun with it and let people hear it. I guess the real answer is that it's when this thing drops on the February the 14th, which is just
next
a
week.
week away Friday. I guess however the response is, hopefully it'll be good, might dictate what we will do with it.
Sure.
Then if there's how it is, if promoters go, dude, got to get this out, or they go, this sounds like shit, forget it.
Right.
So there's a lot of that. If the interest is there, I'm sure somebody's going to go, we got to get this strike while the iron's hot. So
right.
Hopefully that will be the case.
No question.
Hopefully.
Well, Robin, before we wrap this one up, I wanted to tell you a quick story about seeing you and see if you remember this at all. I saw you at Clay's Park in Ohio when you were with Survivor. And it was a great show. I mean, not to get into the whole Survivor thing, but I thought you did an excellent job with Survivor. I mean, you were spot on covering both.
It's a great catalog of material. So,
right. But it's not the easiest to sing. It's not the easiest to sing because you have two different styled vocalists that are the mainstays, so you did a great job. But the one thing I wanted to see if you remember, and you may or you may not, but you acknowledged him from the stage. There was a guy at this show, and it was all muddy and like it was not the best circumstance for a show. But there was a guy with a parrot, and he had a parrot on his shoulder, and the parrot was dancing around, and you kept coming over and like pointing at the parrot and bobbing your head, and the parrot was bobbing its head to you. Do you remember this at all?
I do not. I wish I did, because that sounds like a hoot right there.
It was.
Did the parrot sing, or did the parrot at least try to do some backup vocals?
No, it was kind of keeping track of like the beat, and it was bouncing on the guy's shoulder, and you noticed it, so you came over and you were like shaking your finger at the parrot to the beat. It was the funniest thing, man. And
that's great. That's. I wish. It's a shame there isn't a photo of that.
I mean, that was definitely a long time ago. But I was just curious if you remembered that.
I try to entertain everybody, Chris.
yeah. Somehow the parrot got in there, whether it was a paid admission or not. He needed to be entertained.
If that's my audience, so be it.
You're big with the bird population, Robin.
I'm big with the birds. There you go. And now we have black swan, so I do love my fine feathered friend.
Right, and hence the name Robin.
Right. Tweet.
There you go. Nice. Well, Robin, the new record is called Shake the World. The band is called Black Swan. And as a tradition on the show, man, as you know, we always have the artist pick a closing track from the record and maybe tell us a quick story about it to wrap the interview up.
All right. Oh, God. I'd love to tell you what the next single is, but I can't do that. There's so many great tracks on there. So, since you picked When Johnny Comes Marching Home, I'm going to stick with that because it hit pretty close to home for me. Yes, there's other songs, but I would pick that as one of my favorites. There is one other one, actually. There's a great story behind it, because when the guy sent me some music, I kept hearing this this wolf howl. And I came back to Reb, and he goes, "What are you talking about? What wolf?" And I'm going, "Right here when you played this on the guitar." And he goes, Oh, dude, I never heard that before. So it became Immortal Souls.
Okay.
One of my personal favorite tracks on the record. So maybe you can just, since we talked about Johnny Goes Marching Home, you can go to Immortal Souls.
All right.
I'm big on vampires.
Cool.
I heard this wolf sound, and I completely structured the whole song about vampires.
Very cool.
And that's really what it is. And
Nice.
if you listen to it, you'll pick it up. Then you'll go, of course it is.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what.
There's my vampire side.
Perfect. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do, Robin. We'll play Immortal Souls, and then we'll back it with Johnny Came Marching, and that way people can hear them both. How's that?
That's killer, dude. You're awesome, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, let's check them out right now. This is brand new music from Black Swan right here on your Classic Metal Show.